A wise man once said that when you look into the darkness, you want to hear someone talk back to you. You want to ask questions. And the only person who's going to answer you is you. You are the one answering you. And most people are scared of themselves. Magic brings you to them. All the answers you need to your questions come from you. Mystery School doesn't provide you with answers. We provide you with the keys to attain the answers that are within you. My name is Gudni Gudnason. I'm the founder of the Modern Mystery School. The purpose of magic is to transform, to change something into something. And we have a definition in the Mystery School from takes nothing, change it into something, and then take that something and change it into something else. And that's the whole process of what we do. It's like reading a book. So you read a book and you learn things from it, it's already transforming you. So we can say that when you started on the book, you were like a clean slate, there was nothing, an empty mind. You start reading the book and it fills you with something. And then when you close the book, you actually go into life and take that something on the road and that becomes something else. Evolution.
Well, magic is everything. It is the small changes, it is the big changes, it is the acts that causes one from living in the mundane to being the divine. Magic is changing all things in your life to be who you truly are. It's changing nothing into something and then something into something else.
For me, magic is the key to understanding that everything is possible. Whatever I choose, whatever direction I want to go in, there is a magic available to me to utilize to take myself to that place. Even if I don't understand from where I am right now, how on earth could I possibly get there? If I apply magic in my life and I make room for the impossible to be possible, then I can get to that place. I can bring myself to heights that seemed unimaginable before through the use of magic.
Yeah, I've been studying and practicing magic my whole life from early teen years. I like it because, or I like the way the Mystery School handles it because we have all kinds of tools. And in the beginning when I started, it was like, okay, here's this tool and it didn't work for me. I'm like, what's this? Why are you giving me this tool? It doesn't work. And my teacher said, well, then try that one. There's always more tools. Why do we need magical tools when we actually say in the lineage, I am God, we are gods. So here we are gods and we're working with this magic, with words, with rituals, with tools. Why do I need all that if I am God? Well, yeah, we're God. We're not the God. We're not a higher level God. We're in training. We came down here as God, and then we're trained to be more than that. And actually in one of the ancient books that we have written by Hermes Trismegistus, he says that we're actually in training to become greater than the gods, meaning the gods that are already here. So we can become greater than this. We can attain a much higher status as gods. And one way to do that are the tools and the magic and the rituals, etc. And it's interesting, when I studied mythology, and I noticed in mythology that every god that was depicted in different books around the planet, everywhere, they all had different tools. They were all associated with different tools, like Thor and Thor's hammer, So it's been around a long time that we need these tools to yield this magic that we are practicing and trying to master. But the actual, in the Mystery School, the lineage that are thousands of years old, there have been many different magics that have come, systems of magic that have come in. And so they can be from, originally maybe Sumerian, Egyptian, and then, Viking magic and Celtic magic, Egyptian, all kinds of different magics. We study a lot, not everything, but we study a lot of these different magic systems.
For initiates in the modern mystery school, magic is very practical, and we use it all the time and every day. So if someone outside the mystery school that doesn't understand what we mean by magic, they would say that's maybe foolish or incorrect or maybe just fantastical. But if we were to look at it from an understanding of all of life, there are forces that are affecting life at every level, in our physical state, our emotional state, our mental state, that we don't always have the best definition of, the best clarity of. Those forces are still there. We live in more than these simplistic 4 dimensions that we have. There are more dimensions available to us. And in those dimensions, there is interactions that we are having and that are happening to us. When we're able to access and manipulate those energies to effectively change what happens in these dimensions, that would be an aspect of magic. And in that way, magic and science share a great understanding. What we call magic today could be at some point called science in the future. But the complexity at higher dimensions is more than we can fully embody in just the dimensions we live in today.
Utilizing these magics and rituals, we learn that it is not by culture, because we are all human beings, meaning we are eternal God and goddesses. We can use this magic of variety. If we pertains to one magic, then you are becoming dogmatic into certain traditions. We are here to harness world peace, so we need to break out, and we could be using all kinds of magic, and it works.
Well, ritual or ceremony is it's kind of like analogy from martial arts. In martial arts, we learn to do certain things in what's called a form or a kata, and it just trains you to do certain movements in a certain way. That's basically what a ritual is. So the ritual magic is then put into this form to accomplish a certain result.
Well, to be a magician is really the art of wielding the powers of the universe. And so we know that if we are wanting to master physicality, then we need to know how to wield those powers. And that is what a magician does.
You don't know how to use magic unless you are in a lineage studying with a master, with a teacher who has learned that for a long time and practiced it. So lineage is essential for success. A lot of people just study with books and stuff. You can't do that. You can't learn magic that way. So books are great. We can of course learn. I have a huge library myself. We can learn a lot of things from books. But there's a difference between, I've been collecting original books, original print, first editions, and it's interesting because a lot of these books are coming from the 1800s, where the mystery school was publishing these volumes, and many of them have even handwritten notes in it. So it's like they're saying something. So they're personal, but it's still a book. The oral teaching, the things that you can't put in the book are handed down orally. The mind cannot perceive the highest vibrations. I was fascinated when I was young. I was listening to all kinds of music. I went to the symphony with my parents a lot. So I listened to classical music. I was listening to our time's heavy metal. I listened to everything, jazz and got this album by this Indian musician. His name was Ravi Shankar, and who later became father of Nora Jones, example. But Ravi Shankar, this vinyl that I bought, I would listen to it every day. And every day was a different vinyl, a different music. Because I was learning, they have different sound system in India. And when he's playing, I was learning to hear more. And this is what happens in oral teachings. When we get handed down ceremony, holy words, for example, something to tone, we can't write it down. It has to be orally transmitted to the mind. And the mind receives it, just like I was being trained to hear more. We will hear more, we will understand more through the oral teaching. Because the voice carries a certain vibration, certain frequency. So that's how the master usually hands down those secrets. What's the difference between New Age spirituality and the spirituality of the lineage of metaphysics that has been around for thousands of years? And that's the difference. We have been around for thousands of years. New Age pop-up things, and I don't want to call it spirituality, that would be giving spirituality a bad word, a bad reputation, because it's not spirituality. It is pop-up. It's people making things up to teach them, make money. We have been around for thousands of years. We don't teach things that we come up with in our mind. We just teach things that have been handed down from teacher to student. And that's a lineage. So Hollywood magic versus mystery school magic. Of course, Hollywood magic, or Siegfried and Roy in Las Vegas, they work with illusions and trickery, in a sense. That's one form of magic. And then usually we say that's a magic with a C. Ours is magic with a CK. And the magic with a CK is transformation of us, the inner transformation of the soul, and then outer transformation of our actions and words. So all aimed at improving us, making us better humans.
Our magic has a K at the end, Magick. And that K stands for the keys. And we give you the keys for you to keep the gates of your perception and of awareness open every day for you, no matter what you're doing, no matter how you're living your life, so that you have the access, you have direct access to the higher realms, to the universe, to the flow of light. So you can bring the light directly for yourself, to yourself, and then around you. And that's very powerful. That's transformational. And that changes the world. It changes your world, and it changes the world itself.
What change does the path bring us? That's such an amazing topic. And it is a huge topic, because that's where you see the alchemical process happening.
Can a path of progression exist without magic? Absolutely not. There is no way. The path is magic. And you finding the path is magic. Every tool on the path is magic. Every step you take is magic. So no, you cannot. And we have thousands of years of proof of that. Every progressional system on the planet has been filled with magic. Just look at the religions. Every religion has magic. The priest is doing magic. In the Catholic Church, they have many rituals and magical moments. The holy blood of Christ. Obviously, it's not blood in there. You're not drinking blood, you're drinking wine. But that is transformed through magical ritual into the blood of Christ, and everybody drinks. So, and the flesh is this little bread thing you get. And so yeah, magic is everywhere. All the religions have the elements that we actually used to, or we brought to them. Religions came out of the paganism that we are from. All the religions are born, and the religions are, we've been 8,000 years on the planet. That's before any religion, any of the large organized religions. And so religions were born from our tools, from our magic, from our paths. In many religious systems, magic is regarded as evil, and they criticize those who are doing magic. And there was the persecutions where they crucified people or burned people on the stakes and all this stuff. And this all comes from fear.
We always have people that do not really believe in what we do. They would like to call us a cult, all these kind of negative connotations. And it is sad. It is sad to me because it is deterring so many people from receiving potentially transformational tools that can assist and help them. But the wonderful thing about the mystery tradition is everybody has to discern for themselves. So we just continue doing the work. We continue bringing these tools, these classes, these teachings, no matter what the resistance might be of a person, lots of groups. We continue bringing the work so that those people that are seeking something else can have a direct experience, discern for themselves whether it works, whether it is something that adds value to their lives.
We have a system that actually works. We don't pray to an invisible God. We adore life as God. We adore beauty as God. This concept of God is so polluted on the planet, and the religions have polluted it. There are levels of God, all the way up to the origins of light, which is Ein Sof. So there's many different levels of God. And we are God. So, and God brings us this magic, all the magic in life. Why would God give us magic is the question. And we can't think this way, because if we say, well, why would God give us magic? Then we have to say, well, why does God allow children to be suffering, etc., etc. This has nothing to do with God. We are all responsible here for those things. And we kind of found the magic. We found things in nature, in ourselves, that worked to empower ourselves to create this magic that we're working today. So if it doesn't work or is bad, then it's our fault. We can't blame God. Science can explain magic, and magic and science work together. Actually, without each other, they don't work at all. And a lot of scientists, a lot of physicists in the early days were actually in our lineage, initiated. They brought the metaphysics. Metaphysics is the origins of physics. So metaphysics, the study of the invisible world, that's exactly what physics is. We're studying light, invisible, and the invisible in the world around us. That's what physics does. So, yeah, there is definitely a correlation between those two. And there is a lot of magic happening in the physical world. This planet is so amazing. And there's so many places with incredible energies and magic just flowing around that I've traveled. I was trying to count that the other day. I'm somewhere around 140 different countries that I've traveled to. And I might be low, actually, probably higher than that, but and because I just love seeing the different energies. And of course the people, everybody has their different flavor and different the way they handle life. So this is all part of magic. The greatest magic is in people. Why are people afraid of magic? People don't want to change. People want to stay in their comfort zone. They want to sit on the sofa with a clicker and a margarita and you know, enjoy their pizza. And that's it. So they're scared.
Well, you know, magic is what scared me when I got here. And the magic with a K, because I'd been raised by a conservative fundamentalist mother, and man, oh man, I saw power here. And I'd been taught to respect by my father how easily power could go sideways. I wasn't too sure where this was going to lead me. And yet I started to see, I never stopped seeing the light. And so I just kept focusing on the light and learning about difference between gray magic, white magic, the other kinds of magic. And I noticed that most magic in the world is gray magic or not such effective magic. And then I started learning about the magic that the mystery school teaches, and of course there's lower level magic, there's higher level magic. I got particularly fond of Kabbalistic magic. Right? I took a deep dive into that, went for a long time. But what I really love is there's magic all around us, and the magic is the magic of the mind, the magic of the human. And we can create magic with a K every day just by changing our mind, just by adjusting your attitude.
And that's the magic of knowing thyself. That's the magic of respecting oneself. That's the magic of each of us is created in the image of the Creator, right? So we have the Creator's DNA, and with that, we create magic.
Magic definitely cannot work, often does not. And usually it is because our ego is taking over. Our ego is coming in and going, oh, you're full of it, basically. But it also sometimes doesn't work because there is a flow in the universe. The universe moves in a certain way. And the universe, we can't say it's a person, but the universe has its own will. And that will determines what's going to happen. So if we go against that will, the magic is not going to work. So we need to be in the flow of certain things. And also with our lives, magic is not going to solve everything in your life, because there are certain things we have to go through to learn. That's why we came here, to learn. But most of the time, magic does work, does help our lives to become better. The magic of life activation is something very special. You are the practitioner in the modern mystery school from this holy lineage takes a very sacred tool, opens up the most holiest part of you, and gives you light, gives you love, fills you with light and love. And this opens up the channels within you to make better choices, to have less fear, to create more inner peace, and incredible empowerment. And then the practitioner closes you, seals you with these gifts within you.
How does that work? Well, that's the beauty of lineage, isn't it? It's magic. It's something outside of logic. It's something outside of what we know outside in the everyday world, at school, in our jobs. Because if we knew that, we'd all be doing that already. So when we activate somebody, when we use this thing called a life activation, it awakens every part of us to say, hey, there's something more. There's a bigger purpose. There is something that you are here to do.
So there is a practical application for magic in the world. One of the first things you might learn, a magic that could serve another human being, not just the self, but you could serve another, is the life activation. And that's taught in our first week of Healers Academy. And it's done with a magic wand, which I affectionately call a stick and a rock. And you say, how can the stick and rock, when held behind a person, done with a certain ritual and a certain way, a modality, a process, work? And it took me, because I'm very pragmatically minded and very practical, it took me a long time. Close to 8 years before I would accept that magic existed, because I kept trying to redefine it as a mental process, some sort of misunderstood complexity of the physical world that I didn't quite grasp yet. It had to make sense to just the physical world. And magic does make sense to the physical world once you accept it exists. And that effectual change that you can't apply your science to, that's causing this change, you could call that magic. And many initiates, myself included, we go through this process of not understanding or accepting that this magic exists until one day, after many years of resistance, you realize it does work, and you just end up throwing your arms up and saying, I don't know, it's just magic, because you don't have any other answer. And that's what it is. And magic is one of the things we need to do to make this world a better place. And that sounds crazy, but I would say the right kind of crazy applied to the world is something that can benefit all of us.
I have studied with masters all over this planet. You know, India, Tibet, Africa, all over Europe, Japan, and seen and studied incredible magic. The most magical moment of my life, the birth of my daughter. That completely changed me. To see her come out, I was there and helped with the birth. And yeah, that was just amazing. Changed me completely. The most important magic to practice every day, love. Love, love, love. Love is all you need, John Lennon. He knew what he was talking about. And love starts with self-love. Love yourself. You can't be loved or love anyone else unless you love yourself. And then spread that to others.